Hello and welcome to another episode of Waterproofing Wisdom. My name is Ben. I'm Technical Director of CLW, and this time I wanted to talk about who should do waterproofing design. And this is from BS 8102, which is the code of practice for protection of below ground structures against water ingress. And I've highlighted this part that says a waterproofing specialist should be appointed as part of the design team. And so I think it's quite clear that a waterproofing specialist should be doing the waterproofing design. And I also wanted to highlight this point, which is the appointed, which is quite a kind of contractual word, but I think what that means is that really the person doing the waterproofing design should not be a free piece of advice from a supplier. There does need to be a contractual appointment, and with that comes appropriate lines of recourse should that advice be bad. So a waterproofing specialist should do the waterproofing design on a basement. What is a specialist? Well, a specialist is somebody who concentrates primarily on a specific thing. And so because of that, it's unlikely that your architect or engineer is a waterproofing specialist, because it's much more likely that they are a structural engineer or an architect. So I think that's important, and I also think that this is important. So this is the code of professional conduct from the Institution of Structural Engineers, and that says if you're a structural engineer, you should only perform services in the things that you're competent in. Similarly, for members of RIBA, practices must be competent to undertake the services being offered. And then similarly, ICE, again, professional code of conduct says members shall only undertake work that they're competent to do. However, in our experience, a lot of waterproofing design is actually undertaken by architects and engineers. And a lot of that's early in the design process, so maybe RIBA stage 2 or 3. And a lot of that's undertaken as a genuine goodwill, looking to help the client. And if we just spell out a bit of waterproof concrete here and a bit of a membrane there, and ultimately it's going to be a design and build contract, and that later design input can come from another professional later down the road. That seems to be the thinking amongst a lot of architects and engineers. And I think that's problematic. And entities like NHBC, who would insure buildings with basements, they seem really hot on this, that actually the waterproofing design must be done by a suitably qualified person. And again, they point out this needs to be an appointed waterproofing specialist. So this is the kind of, it's work in progress, but this is a design responsibility matrix that we would use to try and spell out between RIBA stages 2 and, well, gateway 2, to conflate two different things. These are some of the different waterproofing design things that need to come together. And unfortunately, for many, that's an unknown unknown. So a lot of architects and engineers, although they know lots about architecture and engineering, don't realize that there are a whole bunch of components to the waterproofing design development that they aren't even aware of. And so in our experience, the design responsibility matrix in the mind of a design team, even on major schemes, loses a whole bunch of what's very important for structural waterproofing design. And that's why it's very important to appoint a competent structural waterproofing design specialist. And obviously we'd like that to be us. I hope that's helpful. I hope that points out an area of concern. And if there's anything we can do to help you, please get in touch.